here we go, folks. Top 8 is beginning between Sam Chen and Naoto Suzuki. Get on social media, use the hashtag #PlayPokemon. Tell us which of these players you think is going to win. Will it be Sam from the US or Naoto from Japan? This should be an awesome match.
Pair of Gardevoirs prized for Sam. Obviously the Trash Avalanche one being a little bit more important, but overall just being able to lock abilities at your own discretion is a big deal. Over on Naoto's side, got a handful of prizes, the Acerola, Guzma, all important pieces that you're going to want in the late game, ways to switch, but otherwise nothing incredibly significant.
Yep, and here we go. Game number 1 beginning. And if there's anything I have learned from this matchup, the one thing you need to do on your first turn is play an energy card. Sam starting off beautifully in game number 1 with this Bridget being able to search out 3 basic Pokemon, but he needs to get an energy onto Drampa GX immediately. We saw what happened in earlier rounds when you just aren't able to play an energy onto Drampa GX on your first turn. It ends very poorly.
Yeah, that is a must, and it's sort of a dangerous thing. The one thing that the Garbodor deck doesn't have, and it has almost everything, is energy acceleration. No easy way to get extra energies from the discard pile, no extra energy attachments in a turn, no max elixirs. You're really mostly on your own when it comes to getting these energies, so you have to just attach them one at a time the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, now Sam is searching through his deck, checking to see what's in his prize cards. I believe he had the Garbotoxin Garbodor as well as one Trash Avalanche. Otherwise, nothing super relevant, I don't think. And he does find those 2 Drampa GX and Trubbish. You might notice Bridget says you can search your deck for 1 basic Pokemon EX or 3 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. It does not mention Pokemon GX, so you can get GX cards in your 3 basic Pokemon. They're not considered EX.
And it's pretty common to grab this off of a Wonder Tag with the Tapu Lele. Sam not even having to do that, having the rare Bridget in opening hand. Also, there's the energy attachment that we were talking about. Overall, a strong start, and then later you can actually save your Leles for other types of supporters like the Guzmas that you're going to need for getting cheap knockouts.
Indeed, so here we go. Now Naoto will take his first turn. Both players starting with Trubbish. We actually see a Heavy Ball from Naoto. Not a card we see very often, but it actually is kind of neat in this deck. It can grab Wimpod since it has a retreat cost of 3, and that Wimp Out ability doesn't work until it's in play. So you can take it out of your deck, even though it does have that ability. Can also find Garbodor, and just a neat way to search out your Pokemon right away.
Yeah, I saw the single copy in there the last game that we saw with Naoto, but I don't know if he was ever actually able to play it. Just a nice little fringe card, and it works in decks like this when you have a couple of heavy Pokemon to find. Is Golisopod 3 retreat as well?
Yeah, it is. So it gets you 4 different targets in your deck and doesn't require you to discard cards like Ultra Ball would. So nifty little inclusion in his deck.
So there we see Choice Band, the golden Choice Band. I'm remembering now, Naoto, all about these full rarity cards. Sycamore for a new hand. Floatstone to move the Trubbish if he has to. Overall, what he wants to see, wants that Wimpod down, wants to be able to hit hard with Golisopod soon afterward.
Yeah, now, one thing we didn't see from Tord or Alex in the previous rounds is a tech card that Sam is running, and that is Plumeria. We saw Tord in round number 1 defeat this deck by running it out of energy, using Righteous Edge repeatedly to discard special energy, but it had no way to discard basic energy. Sam is playing 1 Plumeria in his deck, so if he decides to go the same strategy that Tord went for in the first round, he can actually do it by discarding the basic energy as well. And we actually see a grass energy being discarded by Naoto. He might be unaware of the Plumeria, and this could be a big card in the matchup.
Yeah, we saw this popularized yesterday with Frank Diaz and his very similar list. He was actually running 2 copies of it. We saw how valuable it was when you're able to pull it out with a Lele at any given point. But I am just extremely excited to see if it will come out again here. It's such a great surprise card. Having your energy discarded off of your bench is just such a shocking development early in this game. And it really is a very important way to get ahead. Energy attachments are one of the biggest things that can determine this mirror match.
Yeah, another interesting thing, Sam Chen actually did get defeated by Tord Reklev at the North American International Championships. Back then, he was playing this version of the deck that played the Team Magma's Secret Base. That was your main method of getting damage on your benched Pokemon for Drampa GX's Berserk attack. But he seems to have basically adapted towards style of the deck.
Yep.
No Team Magma's Secret Base, no Potone or anything like that, just 4 Rainbow Energy, even right to
4 Lele?
Tapu Lele GX. So taking a page out of his opponent's book and saying, hey, I know when I got beat, I'm just going to play the good cards. I recognize that was the way to build the deck.
So Sam can open things right up with a Field Blower and as a supporter, so it looks like we won't see the Plumeria play. He just he had an Ultra Ball where he could have pitched all of his resources and grabbed Lele and done it, but then he doesn't get an energy attachment this turn, and there's maybe a confusion over whether or not the N was played. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, me too.
It's in his discard pile, right?
Yeah, he hasn't played a supporter yet, so this is fine. The judges are going to discuss something real quick. He did play a Field Blower, and then played the N after that. You can see his cards are like halfway shuffled into his deck.
It's really actually really bothering me. I'm hoping they can be pushed together into one square so I can stop looking at that. I don't know if you guys are actually able to see this and realizing you guys are not getting the same top-down angle as we are. But hopefully we can resolve this. I'm a little confused. Both players have an empty hand right now. I'm not sure if there's just a way something was announced or just something that we just missed along the way.
Yeah, and there's always a language barrier here at the World Championships. Sam's opponent might not speak English, comes from Japan. So we'll get this sorted out. And Sam, you can see, very charismatic, playing for the camera.
That's the Sam I know and love.
Indeed. So it looks like we may have a penalty for shuffling. We're waiting for a translator to come over. This has been a recurring theme over the course of the weekend. A lot of players from Japan shuffle in a certain style of way that doesn't always randomize the deck sufficiently. And so we've had some issues with that over the weekend. And we'll have a translator over here to communicate shortly. But in the meantime, we can discuss the matchup a little bit and maybe some other things that are happening here in the top 8. So we know for sure we'll have 3 Trashalanche decks in the top 4 and 1 Gardevoir deck in the top 4. I think the big story is, will that Gardevoir GX deck be able to topple the Trashalanche deck? I mean, on paper and even in practice, as we've seen this weekend, Gardevoir GX has been pretty well positioned to take out that deck. And I think right now it might be the favorite to win the World Championships.
It definitely is. On paper, like you said, it works very well. It has answers against Trashalanche. It can hit for an incredible amount of damage. The only thing I feel like that can stop Gardevoir is itself.
Yeah.
It's a little less consistent. And that just sort of comes with any deck where you're running a Stage 2 attacker versus a Stage 1. You have to get the rare candy at the right time. I feel like a lot of the players that are able to succeed with the Gardevoir deck are the ones running the more consistent build of it. A little less text, more things like Octillery, able to drop some cards. Even things, I think I saw Pablo running a copy of Fisherman earlier. Things just to make sure that you have those crucial energy to attach. And that's a big deal. But every once in a while you can start a couple of Ralts. You never find the rare candy Gardevoir. You have to do it kind of slowly with the Curlia. You start falling behind. And sometimes you can get shut out that way.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like a combo deck almost, where you're like, all right, cool, I get this knockout if I have Rare Candy, Gardevoir, Double Colorless, and a Fairy Energy, and then a Choice Band. And then when it all works, you're like, wow, this is the best deck ever. Oh, just turn 2, knockout, 2 prizes, and then it snowballs from there. You get a Gardevoir with like 8 energy on it, 1-hit knockouts all over the place. And then other times you're like, all right, I got Rare Candy, Gardevoir. Oh, I didn't get the Fairy Energy. I guess pass. And then things can start to get ugly from there, where you're just like, well, I have Curlia. And then your opponent plays Guzma and just brings it up, knocks out Curlia before it evolves. You're like, oh, I don't have a Gardevoir out. Ralts and Curlia don't look as good as Gardevoir GX.
No, they. That's the thing, is you don't have like a basic attacker or anything. Like your only attacker really is just the Gardevoir. Yep. It's so good once it drops. 230 hit points, unlimited damage. What feels like unlimited energy attachments, not quite, but still incredibly
unlimited
strong.
Power.
Yeah, it really is like an unlimited power kind of deck. And it's Oh, man, I don't, like, if I had to make a gut call, I would say Gardevoir goes all the way.
Yep.
This is the World Championships. This is where dreams happen. I feel like if you just get your dreams set up, it works every time. That said, it's by no means an auto win. There are a lot of different interesting things going on. We've seen Gardevoir versus Garbodor basically the entire weekend, and it's gone both ways.
Indeed. But the one great thing about Gardevoir GX is actually its GX attack. Twilight GX can shuffle 10 cards from your discard pile and put them back into your deck. So specifically against this Trashalanche strategy that relies on having item cards in your opponent's discard pile, you can simply take a turn to say, all right, Twilight GX, shuffle 10 items back into my deck. Hey, now you're doing 0 damage.
Yeah, that's sometimes like your kingpin play. Every single time I've played that matchup, if I'm able to like successfully get a Twilight drop, I almost feel like it's game because your opponent just like the highest damage output they have in like this scenario is something like the Drampa, and they're 2-hit knocking you out, and they're attaching all this energy, so they make it very easy for you to get a 2-prize knockout.
Yep.
The Garbodor can't activate anymore because it's Trashalanching you oftentimes for 0 once you shuffle it all back in. So it's a card that very hard counters Garbodor, but it's very difficult. It looks like both players are shuffling again. I'm not sure what the resolution is, but I'm hoping that we can have it all figured out very soon.
Yeah, it looks like play has resumed, so let's head back to the match and get this in action. We were in the middle of an N being played, and we'll get this game moving here. Looks like no prize cards have been taken, so no prize penalty here, or at least one was not accepted at the very least. But N is played. Looks like Sam is going to continue his turn. I think he was looking for a double colorless energy to go for a Berserk knockout on this Trubbish. He may have to settle for just a Rainbow Energy attachment and maybe go for a Trashalanche knockout or simply power up his other Trampa GX.
Trashalanche is slightly risky. You sort of leave yourself wide open to both a knockout either with Golisopod or Trubbish, but it is a pretty good option to take here. If Golisopod's going to be attacking, we're going to have to see another Floatstone, and just getting one prize up in this race is probably a good idea.
Indeed, and just an update, Naoto has received a warning for the shuffling, and a 4-minute time extension has been applied to this match. So we're about 10 minutes into this, but we got an extension, and we should see some great games of Pokemon here. Hopefully nothing else stalls us here, as we do see a big Teammates from Naoto. That is never a card you like to see after you've taken a knockout, and you know your opponent is going to do something bad.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. One of my favorite cards ever printed in the Pokemon trading card game was Twins, and it works a little bit differently than Twins, but any card that says search your deck for 2 cards, that's brutal. It's not even like a Mallow where you have to put them on top of your deck. You just get 2 cards.
Yep.
And when you can get any 2...
It's almost like Golisopod GX was designed to beat this deck.
In this with Drampa, it probably survives Golisopod. Crucial cards in hand that he wants to save.
A GX knockout on the way.
Digging for a double.
Indeed. Does he find that double colorless energy for the Crossing Cut GX? This could be a draw for our player from Japan. It's going to take a big prize lead in this game, and not only that, is Golisopod GX gets to move to the bench where it's safe, and it's going to be tough for Sam.
I'm trying to think. I'm not sure how many item cards have been played so far in Naoto's discard pile. Is that 5 counting it there? I'm not sure. It may not be.
It's up to 6.
Yeah, it's up to 6, so he can at least... but in the meantime, down goes a GX for 2 prize cards, and it gets to retreat to the bench as well. Great synergy attack to set up another first impression for later.
Indeed. Naoto looking in firm control of this first game here in the top 8. And we have an update from another top 8 match as well. Diego Casiraga is up 1 Mesa, so he is on top of that Gardevoir mirror match so far.
And I feel like it's probably pretty frustrating to play against a teammate like that, but we'll try and keep you guys updated as we get more information from each of these matches to let you guys know your other top 4 competitors if they become known.
Yeah, and Pablo, an incredible season. He took 2nd place at the International Championships a few months ago, and now here at top 8 at the World Championships, looking to move on to the top 4, but he'll have to fight back in 2 games. Sam looks like he's going for the Teammates. He'll see if any 2 cards can even help him in this situation. It's just an ugly spot. There's Galisapod GX with some energy and a choice band on the bench. You're down prize cards. Your opponent already has a Trashalanche Garbodor ready to go. Where do you go from here? You don't have any energy on your Drampa GX. I don't even know how you knock out this Trubbish.
Yeah, it looks like he's eyeing up Field Blower. Maybe just remove Floatstone and really hope that somehow your opponent can't retreat. This is a back-to-the-wall situation. He can get Garbodor and an energy and just grab a pretty sad prize card and then just get wiped out in return. You can try and set up Garbodor on the bench. All these options, they look pretty scary for him.
They sure do. And looks like he grabbed Field Blower and Psychic Energy off of his 2 cards for the teammates. So he may go for a play that's like Field Blower away the active Floatstone and the bench choice band, and then Big Wheel GX, try to set himself up for a big future turn.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. The one thing that Sam does have going for him in this matchup is just that there are so many more item cards in Naoto's discard pile than Sam's own.
Yeah, but it almost doesn't matter at this point. Naoto is going to be able to get knockouts every turn. He's just going to kind of win the race, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to deal with. I'm trying to think. This Big Wheel, I guess we'll have to give him just about everything to even have a chance.
Yep, and Sam had a Garbotoxin Garbodor in hand, opted not to play it. Maybe thinking he might need to use his own Tapu Lele GX in the future, maybe to find that Plumeria and try to make a comeback that way.
So coming back over to Naoto's end, he can hit for a ton of damage with his Galisapod that's already there. All he needs is a Floatstone and another energy to attack with his clean Galisapod as well. And he can probably very slowly, if he can find ways like his Field Blower to start getting more items into Sam's discard pile. He already does have a Garbodor with an energy on it as well.
Yeah, the only good news here for Sam is that the GX attack has been used for Naoto. So he cannot use Crossing Cut GX again, but he does find a Floatstone, so he can retreat and at least use First Impression for another 120 damage attack. Looks like he is in complete control so far, and he's going to play Professor Sycamore. That's a lot of energy in the discard pile, though. If Sam could buy enough turns to play Plumeria repeatedly, maybe discard all those Grass energy and the Rainbow energy, he could run Naoto out of resources.
That's absolutely a possibility. I think one card Sam might be considering using is something like Acerola, so he could pick up his Drampa and at least remove the damage and not give Naoto an easy 2-prize knockout. Maybe force him to only run through 1-prize attackers. It might be pretty difficult to accomplish, but we'll see where we go. And Ultra Ball over on Naoto's side, he sort of reached the breaking point. There are so many items in the discard pile now. It's like, well, I don't even need to limit myself anymore. I'm going to play as many as possible.
And he's actually even going for the Garbotoxin Garbodor. At this point in the game, he's saying, I am firmly in the lead here. I don't want to give my opponent any easier route to play Tapu Lele GX for specific supporters. If the board doesn't change, I'm going to be the one winning. Let's take away that option.
So here we see Floatstone in the active. There's even a Floatstone on the bench. I believe those are all the Floatstones that Naoto has left in his deck.
Yeah, probably.
And up we go. First impression, 120 damage, single attack.
120? Yeah.
And so there's passing back over to Sam's side. Trying to check, make sure he has the item count right. There are a ton in there.
Looks like 8 or 9 right now. So a Trashalanche with a Choice Band would be a knockout.
Yeah, even a knockout on a clean Galisapod. And there is Choice Band in his hand.
Yeah, you can see where Sam could potentially win this game. The big problem for him is that Drampa GX with all the damage on it. If he could Acerola and pick up that Drampa GX and then get a Trashalanche knockout, he'll go down to 3 prize cards. Then Naoto will go down to 2 after taking that knockout. Then Sam could respond with another Trashalanche, go down to 2, but then he would have no Pokemon GX on his side of the field. So he could then play Guzma, take a 2-prize knockout and win before Naoto gets an opportunity to. Now that's easier said than done. Sam needs a lot of different things to pull this off. First of all, he needs the Acerola. He would need to find 3 consecutive Trashalanche Garbodor and energy every single turn, and then a Guzma at the very end. but that is his path to victory.
So here, Ultra Ball grabbing a Trash Lanch Garbodor. It's tough. I don't know if he has an out to Acerola. The Garbotoxin Garbodor is actually very relevant. Sam would otherwise maybe have a route to do something with Tapu Lele. But now without that option, it's going to be tough. Here comes Choice Band on the bench. Trubbish.
And he also has a Guzma in hand. Looks like he might be going after the Galisopod GX with the 3 energy on it instead, or maybe even one of the Trashalanche Garbodor here. He is playing Guzma, so which Pokemon will he go after? It seems strange because he has the Choice Band in hand. He could have just gotten the clean knockout on the active, but opted not to.
It's almost like he's trying to save it for a future knockout.
You have to switch. You have to switch yourself.
And I don't know if there's a conversation if... you need to switch first on
yeah.
your Guzma. That's definitely something you have to do.
Yeah, it's almost a trivial play because clearly you just switch into Garbodor, which has Float Stone. You have no retreat cost. You just would retreat. So this game could still be in Sam's favor, but I feel like if Naoto simply has Guzma on the next turn to knock out that Drampa GX, it's pretty much over. He'll have a firm control of the game.
And he runs several copies of the card and ways to bring it back. So let's see, what does he have in his hand now?
Yeah, and you can see Sam shaking his head. He knows he's not in a good position here. His only hope is that his opponent doesn't have Guzma in this situation. If he does, he goes after Drampa GX, goes down to 1 prize card, and then he has enough attackers powered up where Sam really couldn't do anything.
So we see a sort of trivial second Garbotoxin Garbodor coming into play. It looks like, an N. So not a Guzma, perhaps giving Sam the window he needs. He is going to get N down to 3 cards. He is also in sort of a weird situation where the Choice Band is on his Trubbish and unevolved, no energy. Because I think eventually he's going to want to be able to get a 2 prize knockout on Galisopod. That's going to give him the swing back that he needs.
Indeed. And he's going to draw 3 cards off this N. Both players will. And this is still anybody's game at this point. I think it favors Naoto because he needs far fewer things to pull off the win. But perhaps Sam could pull one off here.
So here we see a Field Blower getting rid of a pretty crucial Choice Band, I feel like.
2 Choice Bands.
Yeah, one both on the Trubbish and one on the Drampa. It's possible that the Drampa could have actually contributed to a knockout to close the game if it sits here. I feel like if it sits for too long, though, it's going to become a big liability. Maybe the way that Sam loses the game. But for now, just 1 prize card from Naoto, Trash Lanch on a Garbodor, Sam throwing up a new Garbodor. And actually, at some point, the Field Blower actually contributed the final, like the 10th item card in his discard pile. So Choice Band no longer needed to knock out a Galisopod. If you're Sam, you still are begging for something like an Acerola so you can just not lose to a Guzma, but I don't think he has an out to it.
Yeah, playing Super Route here to shuffle 3 cards. 3 Pokemon from his discard pile back into his deck. Yeah, I mean, Sam's going to do everything he can do here. Keep taking knockouts while he can. And then really all he's going to do is cross his fingers that his opponent doesn't have Guzma to get the game-winning 2 prize knockout. If he doesn't have Guzma, Sam could certainly win the game. It wouldn't be that difficult from here. You just need a Garbodor, an energy card, and a Guzma of his own, and he could take the game back. But let's see what happens here. And it all kind of rides on Naoto having that Guzma in his hand. Sam even going to have the Ultra Ball for his own Trashalanche Garbodor, the follow-up attacker on the following turn. This could come down to the wire.
It's getting tight. He's definitely going to need a little luck. On Naruto's last turn, he played a big Sycamore, dug really deep. I'm not 100% sure of the contents of his hand. Sam not even opting to or able to play something like an N here. Yep. Just has to just hope. I mean, that's all he really can do at this situation.
Yep, and he's going to play out as many cards as he can so that he doesn't get hurt by a potential N. But this is the turn. Does Naoto have Guzma to win the game here?
Yeah, Frey retreating, Tapu Koko up in the active position.
Wow, that's a lot.
He's going to get to draw 1 card as well at the end of all of this. Doing a quick count on the items. There are a ton. Beyond the point of what's really relevant, there aren't even Trash Lanches that can happen on Naoto's side right now.
Exactly.
So we see Naoto draws. Is there a Guzma or a Versus Seeker? He's looking at his discard pile.
is there a Guzma in there?
Trying to think. I could have sworn he played one, but maybe not. I see Rescue Stretcher. I see Sycamore. He has to play the Sycamore.
What?
This just gave an opening to Sam.
Unbelievable. And Sam has the win in his hand. He's got the Psychic and Guzma.
Oh, I can't believe it. Is there anything Naoto can even do to prevent that?
I don't think so. He's got 2 GXs on board. He's already played as supporter. He can't play N. He can't disrupt Sam's hand. And look, the Guzma actually in his prize cards.
Oh, wow.
If he had actually taken that prize instead of another one, he would be winning this game.
It's just little things like that. Tiny percentage chances. Looks like all he's going to do is flying flip. Sam revealing the Guzma and the energy.
Wow.
Pulling a miracle game 1.
I can't believe that just happened. That's got to be crushing for Naoto. He had complete control of that game from almost start to finish, but at the end, just unable to find the game-winning Guzma to win the game. And Sam Chen, hey, he'll take what he can get. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong in that game. He played to his outs and just kind of crossed his fingers, hoped his opponent didn't have the game-winning card. And in this instant, he did not.
This is what separates the best from the rest. I feel like some players, they get to a situation where they really seem like, wow, I would need so much to win. I just can't even try anymore. But he never gave up. He put himself in a situation where, well, if my opponent doesn't have it, I can at least win. Make sure that I can win on this next turn. And slowly but surely, just turned out that his opponent didn't have a Guzma, even after playing a Sycamore on the last turn. Just whiffed it off of the prize cards.
It's not a guarantee. I mean, most of the time we see it. The odds are really good. You draw 7 cards, but in this particular case, Naoto, he had that Guzma in his prize cards, couldn't draw into another one, and just was unable to close out the first game. And, man, he was so far ahead. He got early Galisapod GX. He got to pull off the big GX attack for the knockout on the Drampa GX. And it looked like it was smooth sailing from there, but no, he just kind of ran out of gas at the end, and Sam pieced together enough attacks. The big Trash-a-Lanche got him there in the end, and man, what a thrilling game 1.
It really is, and you can see this mirror match just goes in so many different directions. Both players are really trying to micromanage so many different things. Don't play too many items, but do everything you can to attach as many energy as you can. Sam doing the, I refuse to look at my opponent's deck while shuffling it.
Well, it's something I noticed. Sam went to cut his opponent's deck, and then his opponent went to shuffle his deck, and he was like, oh, fine, I'll shuffle your deck too.
I'll do a shuffle too, why not?
Yeah.
So here we are going into game 2. This is it. One of these players will survive to the top 4, which will also be casting at some degree. I'm hoping that we can get some more updates on some of the other matches as well. And we've got a mulligan over here on Naoto's side.
Actually, he's player 1. He can go ahead and
You
put
got to
his
wonder
prize
if
right.
nerves are
He can
becoming
go
a
ahead and put
factor
his prize
here.
right, player 1.
Naoto, I'm not sure how long he's been playing, if he's been in this high pressure of a situation before. You saw he's the top 8 of one of the leagues in Japan. But has he ever been on a stage like this, you know, under the bright lights? It can be intimidating. He didn't make any mistakes in that first game that I noticed. Excellent play all around. Even doing advanced plays such as playing Ultra Ball, discarding kind of junky cards so you don't draw them later. He used the Wonder Tag and even grabbed Hex Maniac out of his deck so he could discard it with Sycamore so he couldn't draw that later. Very intelligent play so far, but just was unable to pull off that game.
2 rescue stretchers in the prizes.
Made of gold.
Yeah, made of gold. Basically his whole deck's made of gold. But he will be starting first this game, opening the ideal starter.
Ooh,
Wimpod can always wimp out. Ooh, Bridget too, that's ideal as well.
Don't even have to Wonder Tag for it. That is the dream start right there. Bridget, get 3 basic Pokemon on the bench. He'll have an energy to attach. It's good to be in Naoto this game so far.
Yeah, if Sam wants to get this second win and make his way to the top 4, he's really going to have to earn it. This is about the best offense that Naoto can muster immediately. We already see 2 Wimpods, a Flying Flip Tapu Koko, 2 Trubbish. Basically all you could ask for if you're Naoto, maybe just another Trubbish along the way, and you've basically got everything on the bench that you could want.
And game number 1 was interesting. It didn't play out like many of the other matches I've seen. There are a lot of different spots where that Acerola supporter is big for this Galisapod deck, and we didn't see a single one played by Naoto in that first game. We saw it in a previous match where I think it was Alex Silva kept hitting the Glycopod GX, and Naoto just kept playing Acerola, picking it up, playing it back down, essentially healing it, and it was super frustrating for his opponent to deal with, but did not have an opportunity to even use it in game number 1. We'll see if that comes up in game 2.
Yeah, it's definitely a big difference as well in Naoto's list. The match that we saw earlier, the Japanese player was running 4 copies of Acerola, so it was just like a constant barrage of healing. Here, there's just 2, it looks like, in Naoto's list. Still enough where you'd expect to see it every now and then, but when you get in those situations, too, where he very eagerly locked down all abilities with Garbotoxin, you can't sort of like grab it at a moment's notice with Wonder Tag anymore.
Yeah, speaking of Wonder Tag, we are going to see Tapu Lele GX for Bridget, a very common play we've been seeing at the World Championships. We'll see 2 Drampa GX and the Trubbish go onto the bench as well. Sam's taking quite a bit of time here on this search, trying to figure out what's in his prize cards, but I think he has his selections already at the front of his deck, ready to put onto his bench.
Yeah, figured should have everything ready to go, start this turn out. I can only imagine, I know Sam is probably one of the better players, I feel like, under pressure. He's just because he's been at the top tables for so long, but I can only imagine what you're going through here. So there we see Trubbish and Drampa, and Drampa number 2, question mark?
I think he's trying to figure out if he wants to save a bench space for a Tapu Lele GX. And I think the answer is going to be, I think it should be no. You definitely want double Drampa in play on the first turn, but we'll see what he decides to go for. He needs to do something, though.
Yeah, he absolutely does. I think you want to Drampa down. You're probably going to get some kind of knockout coming soon. That will just free up your bench space again later. And at the end, yep, no, I'm going to leave it open, I think.
Yeah, he's going to leave the bench spot open. It looks like we'll just see him go for the Big Wheel GX at the end of his first turn. And here we go, GX attack already used for Sam Chen. We have a result from our other top 8 match. Diego defeats Pablo 2-0 and advances to the top 4. 2 teammates had to play off, and Diego, our Argentinian player, is advancing to the top 4, so congratulations to him. Congrats to Pablo as well. Excellent run here at the World Championships, but Diego with Gardevoir GX is now in the top 4.
Absolutely. Congratulations to both of them. An absolutely great run. Gardevoir will definitely be a big contender in top 4 and beyond. I know in the chat, I saw so many people who are fans, like Tablemon, rooting Pablo on. Unfortunately, his journey ends here, but it was an incredible one. And one that, in a way, it seems like he'll be able to survive through spiritually through his teammate.
Indeed. Now Sam goes for the Big Wheel GX, but he is putting that Drampa GX into danger. We saw last game what happened when Drampa GX came out. Glycopod GX with the double colorless energy and a choice band hits for that crossing cut GX knockout. If Naoto can find all the necessary cards, we can see a turn 2 knockout for 2 prize cards.
Now, this is sort of a pretty horrifying result that can happen, but it is something that you open yourself up to. I think Sam, realizing that this is something that can happen, but he really wanted a big wheel. He didn't have a lot more to work with.
Looks like Naoto not wanting to risk it this game. Says, I'm not too likely to draw those cards. I'll just settle for using First Impression on the second turn, get an energy onto my Trubbish, and play a more methodical game.
So we see an army of Glycopod already getting ready to march. And it's just such an interesting card. Attacks off of 1 energy, and if you're coming from the bench, you can deal 120 and onward. And it looks like we're probably just going to see your basic First Impression coming up on this turn. Yet another Wimpod coming down. And there we see 120. Does a little over half the job. And starts this 2-hit knockout parade.
Yeah, I mean, I think Naoto would be happy if he only ever used First Impression for the entire game. I mean, Glycopod GX is great against this deck. As long as he continues to play Acerola and heal his Glycopod GX effectively, he should be able to maintain an advantage in this game. But the only question is, will he be able to?
So Sam doing sort of the play where he attaches Rainbow Energy to active and just tries to get a knockout with like a 2-hit, starting with a Berserk. Wonder if he's eyeing up the Plumeria. He's either going to discard it or play it and discard 2.
Looks like he's going to play Ultra Ball and discard the Plumeria. Sam's not valuing this supporter card very highly in this matchup. I mean, it's likely to just be picked up by Acerola anyway, so does discarding the energy even really matter?
Yeah, that's something he didn't have to run into in the last game, but something you should always prepare for. And if he does get hit with the Stream of Acerola, this matchup is going to be very difficult for him.
Instead, just Ultra Ball for another Garbodor with Trashalanche. So far, only 2 item cards in Naoto's discard pile, so only a 40 damage Trashalanche heading his way. Perhaps that will change as the game progresses, but he doesn't even have any Pokemon tools on board for Sam to Field Blower away. Not a whole lot going on.
Yeah, just going ahead and looks like he's going to throw forward this 110 damage. It's a solid like halfway mark, but that could be washed away very easily with Acerola. Sam sort of almost reluctantly ending.
Yeah, he had a lot of good stuff in his hand. He had Teammates, he had Guzma, he had a Versus Seeker, some energy, but decided he wants to play the N here. Perhaps had a read on his opponent and wanted to make him shuffle his hand back in, or maybe he's just digging for some other cards.
So here we see, yeah, he has Field Blower ready to go, but no tools to blow away.
And he can use Berserk here for 110 damage thanks to the choice ban. No bonus from the bench damage. And if Naoto has Acerola here, I think this one's going to get ugly.
He has Tapu Lele, but no bench space to drop it right now. Opt to drop that 3rd Wimpod down.
Yeah, I'll see if that ends up... if he ends up regretting that. Instead, he does have Guzma in hand, so he could just play that and go after one of those Garbodor. And there it is. The card that eluded him in the first game, Guzma, working perfectly in harmony with Golisopod GX, bringing that Pokemon from the bench to the active spot. And we will see the first impression.
And I believe there's Guzma in Sam's hand as well, so we could see the return knockout, maybe trying to get rid of a Golisopod off this bench before it can be picked up from any kind of healing card. But he's going to have to start working on some kind of additional attacker.
Yeah. Your boy is willing to help all players, not just ones playing Golisopod.
Well, as we know from the games, Guzma just likes to be on the winning team.
He is a lot.
Yes. On the losing team a lot. He's on everybody's team. he just plays for the side he thinks is going to win. Just overall crazy card. You're going to be hearing his name for a long time.
Definitely. Just one of the many great cards from that latest Burning Shadows expansion that is legal for use here at the World Championships. Sam opting to discard the Guzma, though, not going after the easy 2-prize knockout and playing Ultra Ball instead. I wonder if he's going to just, I don't know, grab another Drampa GX? Do you grab another Trashalanche Garbodor? It's not like you're doing a lot of damage with it. Your opponent only has 2 item cards in the discard pile.
Yeah, this isn't like last game where Naoto had to eventually run through a huge set of them. I guess just opting for the Trashalanche now. Super Rod, getting a few more resources back into the deck. Nothing super relevant at this point.
Yeah, shuffling Psychic, Trubbish, and Garbodor back into his deck. And it looks like he has a supporter to play. Might be an N.
Yeah, Guzma if he wants to try and pick off 2 prizes now, and if he wants to play more conservatively.
Yeah, and it's not going to be a knockout on his opponent's Pokemon. Now, actually, Professor Sycamore is the supportor, and he actually has a Field Blower that he can't play. Well, he could play, but it would only be to discard his own.
Want to. Yeah, I thought I was convinced he had a Guzma. I guess he does not.
He did. He discarded it with Ultra Ball.
Okay, just figures he needs to draw cards now.
Yeah, I guess so.
And here we go. He has an Acerola of his own, which would be huge if the Drampa is able to survive another turn. But I think you just need to apply damage. What is he going to do? Just throwing up, attacking for another 110. He's halfway there on 2 different Golisopods.
Yeah, I think Sam is crossing his fingers and just kind of saying, hey, you need to have an Acerola or a Choice Band or double colorless energy to knock out my Drampa GX. If you do, well, great. If you don't, then all you can do is first impression for 30 damage. And I am avoiding a knockout here, and that's a good spot to be in.
Well, we see a Choice Band onto the benched Gliscopod and a very big Sycamore. Lots of different Garbodor pieces hitting the discard pile. Trubbishes that just don't have any space on the bench. Naoto looking for that Floatstone, that double colorless energy, that anything that can give him a knockout.
Yeah, interesting that he decided to attach the Choice Band to the benched Gliscopod GX. Perhaps wanting to draw a Floatstone to retreat, or just this double colorless energy. Now he can choose to either Armor Press or Crossing Cut GX. And it looks like he's going to go for Armor Press, so he'll take 20 less damage from attacks on the next turn. And get the knockout on Drampa GX, and that'll save his GX attack for later in the game.
That could maybe even make it difficult for Sam to get the knockout on Gliscopod.
-20, yeah.
We'll see what's going on here. I don't know.
I think Sam just might not know what the attack does. I mean, there's two attacks, First Impression
Sure.
And Crossing Cut GX. Both of them get used pretty frequently. Armor Press is not used very often. 100 damage, and then during your next turn, Gliscopod GX will take 20 less damage from your opponent's attacks.
I swear, when I play this on PTCGO, I have to do like one Armor Press a game.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's great. In general, it's just something where if all things go wrong, you've already used your GX attack and you have no way to retreat and get a good first impression. It's something. We'll see if that 20 damage buffer actually matters, but...
Well, it will against Tapu Lele GX. Right now, Energy Drive would do 100, exactly enough for a knockout. You can see...
There he is. He's got it pulled up right there on the phone.
Here's a picture of it, Sam.
Welcome to the world of technology.
Yeah.
Sam understanding what's going on. He will have to hit a little harder. He'll have to attach an extra energy to Tapu Lele or something.
That or a Choice Band to get the knockout. As Naoto takes 2 prize cards, goes down to 3, and Sam is in an awkward position now. He can take the knockout on the active Pokemon with Energy Drive, but there is a Choice Band on that benched Gliscopod GX.
Not anymore.
Oh, okay, there you go. I was going to say this would be ugly for Sam if he had to Energy Drive and then he was met with a Crossing Cut GX to knock out his Tapu Lele GX. That would almost be game over.
Yeah, but instead, able to play an N, bringing Naoto down to 3 cards. Sam has a long way to go to make this comeback, but a 2-prize knockout is certainly a good start. He already has the knockout sort of in play with this Energy Drive, which I assume is what he's going to be following up with. And he can maybe start to get some work done from here.
Indeed, this is very similar to the first game where Naoto is in control right here, but Sam is beginning to mount a comeback. Naoto could certainly close the game out if he draws the right cards, but will he do it in game number 2? He did not in the first game.
Yeah, taking a look at Sam's hand, I don't think he has any other cards to play immediately off of that N, but he does have the Energy Drive ready to go. So first 2 prize cards for Sam, and the question is, what did Naoto get off of that 3-card N?
Yeah, if he found like a Teammates, he could find Double Colorless and Choice Band.
Acerola is something he found, and here comes the first one of Naoto's entire series.
It's pretty good too. Fully heal that Gliscopod GX and then evolve the other Wimpod and hit for 120 damage with First Impression. Pretty good. We also have another result from another top 8 match. Xander Pero defeats Jimmy Pendarvis, and he will move on to the top 4. Incredible season for Xander. He is a regional champion this year. Just recently aged up into the Masters division, and he's had an excellent season. And now in the top 4 of the World Championships.
Xander's been a top competitor ever since he was playing in the lower age divisions, and one of the best age-ups I think we've ever seen. All around incredible season. Looks like we'll be seeing more of him in the top 4.
Looks like it. But for now, we have this match here in the top 8. Can Sam Chen pull out another big victory? He does have Versus Seeker, and there's Plumeria in his discard pile. But he's going for the Guzma. Looks like he's going to try to take prize cards and race Naoto here.
Yeah, figures I should probably knock out these Trash Avalanches before they happen. If I'm left with the last surviving Garbodor, that can be a pretty good spot to be in. So trying to start work there. I wonder if he noticed the 2 Trubbish that were discarded very early in on Naoto's side. So back over to Naoto. Obviously has an easy first impression knockout. Ideally, you want to do something like just knock out the 2 prizes on the bench. You have versus Seeker Guzma.
Here it is.
That's going to set him up very well.
Indeed. And this does put him in the danger zone, though, of 1 prize card remaining. If he can get a Trashalanche Garbodor out, it'll make it a little less intimidating. But no, just the energy. Going to go down to 1 prize card and take the knockout here. But this opens up the ever-important N-1 if Sam Chen can play it here. Put his opponent down to 1 card in hand and force Naoto to have something to respond.
And there we see N-1. Could put this Golisopod in that awkward situation where all you can do is hit for 30 to the active. A double colorless energy would change that. Still no GX energy, or still no GX attack on Naoto's side. He's looking for things like Guzma, things like being able to evolve into a Trashalanche Garbodor of his own. Things like double colorless energy, but he only gets 2 cards to do it.
Yeah, I have to wonder if Sam would have been better off here actually attaching double colorless to his Garbodor and going for an acid spray. N-1 plus discarding your opponent's energy is huge. He decided to attach to the Drampa GX, but man, if you attach the double colorless to your Garbodor with the choice band, you can acid spray for 100, you flip heads, then you eliminate an out of Guzma for your opponent. Then they need to draw both Guzma and energy to get the knockout. Sure, it's a little intimidating, then you would lose to like double colorless energy into the Crossing Cut GX, but I think that might have given him better odds to survive here.
Yeah, probably a slightly better play. Drampa doesn't even have like a damaged Pokemon on the bench. Yeah, it's a tough call when you're getting this close down in the match. And it looks like Sam's just going to really hope that his opponent found no way to move around, no way to evolve. Sometimes the power of the N-1 is enough to turn a game around. We'll see how powerful it is this time.
He's deciding which Garbodor to attack with. Going to go with the choice-banded one. Trashalanche for 130.
He's got double colorless in hand.
Oh!
Just attaches it and immediately GX attacks. I guess we won't have any doubt then about, well, if you hit heads on the acid spray, then that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe you do have some doubt there.
Yeah, absolutely. Acid spray might have been the difference between a win and a loss there. If there were no grass energy on the Golisopod GX, drawing double colorless doesn't mean anything. You can't use either of your attacks. But Sam opted to put the energy on the Drampa GX and hoped his opponent just didn't draw anything. But this time Naoto did draw what he needed at the end of the game and ties up this series 1 game apiece.
And you guys really got to see even more of the power of Naoto's deck. It comes in, it starts hitting very hard, and can also heal everything in an instant as well. Finally able to play one of those Acerolas. It seems like a very strong deck in this matchup. I would say it's maybe even favored when everything works, but I don't think it's favored enough where you could say it's a definitive win. You can obviously see this matchup is pretty volatile and can go both ways.
Yeah, now Josh, we've seen 2 games here in this matchup. Sam won the first, Naoto won the second. Who do you think is going to win game number 3? Who do you think is favored here in the last game?
Well, my brain says Naoto, my heart says Sam Chen. So we'll have to see which of those goes down. We've seen the matchup go both ways, but I will say the game that Sam was able to win was sort of a miracle. It looked like he was getting crushed the whole time and was able to just bank on some really good odds. The second game, Naoto looked like he was in a pretty commanding spot the whole time. So just going on those odds, it looks like Naoto is in a good spot, but it could happen.
Yeah, you could see at the end there, though, still a little bit of doubt. If Naoto didn't draw a card he needed there at the end, he would have lost the match, perhaps. He was very close to losing that one. So even though he seems to be in control of all of these games, Sam keeps finding ways to give himself a chance to win at the very end. And that's what's going to make this last game exciting.
Yeah, I'm always thrilled. A game 3 is some of the most exciting things that you can see in Top Cut. You get a little bit of extra time in these Top Cut matches, so you usually get to see 3 full complete games. And so far, it has been an excellent series between these two. I cannot wait to see the way that it concludes.
Indeed. So if you're on social media, use that hashtag #PlayPokemon. Tell us who you think is going to win. Game number 3, will it be Sam Chen, the #1 ranked player in North America? Or will it be Naoto Suzuki, the player from Japan, with his Galisapod GX?
So here's both players setting up. Sam will have the option of going first or second. Of course, I'm sure opting to go first. Nothing super significant in the prizes. Lots of things he runs multiple copies of. We'll look at Naoto's prizes as well. Let's see, Choice Band, Ultra Ball. Bridget is a big deal, starting things off. Trash Lanch Garbodor, one of those is important because he only runs the 2-2 line. Important stuff.
Indeed, Bridget, certainly the biggest of those prize cards. We'll see if that impacts this third game. And Sam starting off very well here in the third game, going first. He has energy to play. He has an Ultra Ball. He can grab that Tapu Lele GX, find the Bridget, and get those 3 basic Pokemon onto the bench. This is exactly the start he wants. I think he's gotten it pretty much every game, but the difference is he's going first here, and we'll get the first energy attachment.
And that's always a crucial part of pushing forward in this matchup. Let's see, he's got a Trubbish in hand. Likely just going to Bridget Town, it looks like, unless we have a conversation going on right now. Nope, looks like we're ready to go.
I think Sam's just having a conversation with himself.
Yeah, what do I get off of the Bridget? We obviously saw, took a pretty long first search in the last game. We'll see, this is it. This is his last chance. You don't want any room for doubt. Nothing feels worse than regretting an action you have in the top 8, wondering if you could have made it to top 4 if only something slightly different had happened. So we'll see how that goes for Sam.
Yeah, I wonder who that could have happened to.
Probably one of the greatest top 8 players of all time. Top 8 worlds anyway.
All right, so Bridget for Sam Chen, finding 3 basic Pokemon. Again, agonizing over this decision. We'll certainly see 2 Trubbish, but will he find a second Drampa GX? Will he find a third Trubbish? What's going to be the play here for Sam Chen?
Yeah, one thing that he's actually had trouble with is getting like multiple Drampa in play. I think that could be something that could aid him. It just depends. If he's able to attach the energy quickly enough, it can actually work out pretty well. We'll just have to see how things work out. Yep, getting the 2 Drampa this time and 2 Trubbish as well.
Double trouble, 2 Trubbish, and 2 Drampa GX in play for Sam. It'll be interesting to see where he attaches his energy for the turn. He could attach to the active, and if he does that, he's threatening a turn 2 Berserk to knock out this Trubbish, but he could also get hit by an Acid Spray and get his energy removed, and not able to use Berserk on the following turn. So there's a bit of a question on where you should attach this energy, I think.
Yeah, it can be a little scary. I feel like unless you have like a quick float stone out, maybe just attach to the active spot and hope that your opponent is not going to risk an acid spray. If you whiff the spray, then it's really bad. It's just these plays that can sometimes determine what's going on in Worlds. Really risky options. Heavy Ball opening again on Naoto's side. I can only imagine that's going to grab a Wimpod.
I think so. That Heavy Ball coming in handy in here in the top 8. Doesn't have to discard any cards like you do for Ultra Ball, but it can grab Wimpod, Galisapod GX, either of those Garbodor, anything with a retreat cost of 3 or higher, and that's going to be Wimpod in this case. I don't think we see an Ultra Ball for Naoto, but he does have an N, so we didn't even have that situation where maybe he played Ultra Ball for Tapu Lele and didn't see his Bridget was prized, but it is there. For the time being, though, only has 1 Trubbish and 1 Wimpod. This could be problematic if he's unable to find a second basic Pokemon to put down on his bench.
Yeah, without that, it can open up a situation where Sam gets the easy knockout. Normally, when you don't have, like, this is something you sort of don't get to do anymore when you're not running like the Team Magma base or Po Town, is getting that turn 2 big Berserk. But if you have just these small basic Pokemon, it's actually sort of what you're hoping for. You attach double colorless energy, You deal the lowly 80 damage. He grabs the knockout. Do see an Ultra Ball, though, over on Naoto's side, so we'll be able to get one more down. Question is, what do you go for? Actually, just opting for the Tempo Coco.
Huh, that is interesting. If he has double colorless energy, he can use Flying Flip, spread some damage around. That would activate the bonus from Berserk, but no, just the grass energy onto the Wimp Pod. If,
Weird choice. This could make him super vulnerable if Sam has double colorless energy into a Guzma, but I don't think he has the double.
Yeah, he's one card off in this situation. The energy is the crucial thing. He has Float Stone, he has Guzma, but no energy to attack with Drampa GX. So Naoto is gonna make it through this turn, and then it's the question of what should Sam be doing here. He has a Professor Sycamore, but he has to discard 2 item cards to do it. Also 2 Guzma and a Versus Seeker. Those are pretty important cards.
Yeah, that is really tough. Man, I felt like that was such a risky play for Naoto. I just don't think I could have done it myself. I would have been terrified of just like double colorless, Guzma, goodbye. Yeah, like here's still the Guzma part of it. But what does Sam do after that? Maybe just hoping to prevent his opponent from doing a big attack on the following turn?
I think so. He's just going to Guzma and say, hey, you're not going to be able to first impression for the bonus damage, and I'm going to Big Wheel GX. I think that's a really risky play from Sam. He missed an energy drop that turn. It might have been better to just play the Sycamore. Yeah, you have to dump 2 Guzma and Versus Seeker, but getting the energy attachment is so important. If Naoto can get Galisipod GX, Double Colorless, and Choice Band for a Crossing Cut GX here, Sam is extremely far behind.
Yeah, this is, again, like I thought Sam had an opportunity to do something really crazy. Now Naoto has an opportunity. Let's see what Naoto can do with it. He's got Double Colorless, has the Bench Trubbish. Does he have a supporter ready to go to draw some cards?
I think he does. What is that last card in his hand?
Empty-handed Versus Seeker. That's going to be either a Sycamore or an N.
Which one do you do? Do you draw the 7 cards or end your opponent down to a smaller hand after the big wheel?
I think I end. I take 1 less card and my opponent takes 4 less cards.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
agree.
pretty good swing. So there we see N. It's funny, this card has always been valuable in every format it's been printed in. And it just like, even unintentionally gets better. Things like Big Wheel, things like Algorithm, they just make N even better because they erase those options from their opponent.
Big 6 cards here for Naoto. He committed his energy attachment to the active Wimpod. He needs to find Galisipod GX off of these 6 cards. Otherwise, he's just got a Wimpod sitting there with 3 energy. And that Wimp Out ability isn't working anymore. So it would take 3 energy to retreat. This could be a massive loss of resources for him if he doesn't find Galisipod GX.
He has Float Stone, so he could retreat for less of an expense, but that obviously makes things a little weird too. He's got a lot of energy in hand.
Oh, Float Stone retreat.
That's one way to Wimp out.
And this is where Sam Chen could have a massive opening. If he can find Guzma and Double Colorless energy, he can knock out that Wimpod. Does he have it?
I don't think he does. It's once again, he had it before. He had it after the big wheel, but now he doesn't really have it again. Has a hand similarly poor to last time. He has an energy he can drop. But
both players just falling short, and you can see 3 item cards in the discard pile for Naoto. That's 10 damage short on the Trashalanche to knock out Wimpod. So even that wouldn't be enough if Sam wanted to go for that play.
Yeah, the only way you could do it is if he had a field blower as well. Everything looks so good for Sam, but if you don't have the knockout, you don't have the knockout. It's like, what else do you even do? He's in a bit of a panic just looking at this hand. It's like, I need to solve this puzzle. What do I do differently? Do I sort of dedicate a couple different energy to a couple different Drampa?
I think if I'm Sam, I'm just playing the Psychic on Garbodor, playing Guzma, and knocking out a Trubbish. That's an easy knockout you can take. Force your opponent to draw that Galisipod GX. They clearly didn't have it that turn. And take the prize card, go from there. But Sam opting to go for the N. And once again, a major missed opportunity for Sam Chen. 2 turns in a row could have knocked out that only Wimpod in play. And once again, will be unable to do so. Won't even be able to get a big attack off here as he attached to the bench. So he can only Righteous Edge for 20 damage. He's not even going to do it. He's just going to retreat to a Trubbish and not put his Drampa in danger.
Man, and I feel like that's just one turn too many of letting that Wind Pod exist unevolved. There it is. The clock has closed. Sam, like, man, I just couldn't get it.
Yep, he knew exactly what he needed. You can see right there. So close. But the bright side for Sam is there is a float stone on Galisipod GX, so Naoto cannot attach Choice Band to it to get that one-hit knockout with Crossing Cut GX. He would need to have a Field Blower and a Choice Band, and that would put 2 more item cards in his discard pile, so it would actually be questionable whether or not it's even worth doing that. But for the time being, Sam is safe from the Crossing Cut on his GX.
See, double colorless energy committed to the Tapu Lele on the bench, and a Sycamore for 7 more cards for Naoto. And here, I think we finally see like another Wind Pod coming down, the usual setup on Naoto's end.
Yeah, the door seems to be closing for Sam Chen here in the top 8. Naoto is just getting more threats into play. Finally, Galisipod GX on board. He has a bunch of energy. Actually, Ultra Balls, both Garbotoxin, Garbodor into the discard pile as well. There are 4 item cards now, so Trashalanche becoming more of a threat on his side, where only 1 item card in Sam's discard pile. So still lots of variables going on here, but I think we'll probably see an armor press from the Galisipod GX, and this could be problematic for Sam.
Yep, looks like, yep, they're agreeing. It seems like attack 2?
Yeah.
Yes. Always fun when you're playing with a player that doesn't speak your language. Pokemon is a somewhat universal language. You just have to throw a couple of symbols out, point in a couple of places, and you usually understand what your opponent's trying to say.
I think if there were any turn to use Plumeria, it would be right now. If you're Sam, you can play the Tapu Lele GX, search for that Plumeria, and discard the Grass Energy from Galisipod GX, and then Righteous Edge to discard double colorless energy. That would put Naoto in a very awkward position where he just doesn't have a lot of energy in play and no really good attacks to work with. And it would be discarding a bunch of energy from his side. So this could be an opening to finally unveil that Plumeria on Sam's side.
Well, Sam does have the opening now on the Wonder Tag. He was not stopped. We saw Naoto and how quickly he just abandoned the Garbotoxin ability. Let's see what supporter Sam grabs. It's like you said, if there's ever a time to Plumeria, now is it. But it was at the back of his deck, and I don't even think he really eyed it up. Maybe just looked like he was actually looking at the Guzma.
Looks like grabbing Acerola as a supporter card, and he's going to play Teammates here in this situation. Maybe going for an energy drive this turn with his Tapu Lele GX. Could Teammates for something like double colorless energy and Choice Band. Set up for a 2-hit knockout on that Galisipod GX.
That's weird. I think he actually already has double and Choice Band.
Yeah, he's showing the 2 cards to his opponent. Maybe nerves getting to Sam Chen here. You don't have to show your opponent what 2 cards you're getting from Teammates.
Yeah, that
goes, whoops.
Oh, what's going on here? Sam's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you realized, oops, I didn't need to show you. Maybe I don't want those 2 cards.
My favorite is like, you could like look through your hand, shuffle it around a little bit, and just still grab the same 2 cards. Be like, I changed my mind on the 2.
Yeah, I totally didn't take those 2. No.
We'll see. I mean, he could maybe even, throwing up Plumeria. Oh man, you can actually see nerves are getting to Sam here.
Yeah, I mean, and he's taken quite a while to make these decisions. I'm sure the judges are telling him he needs to speed up his pace of play here. But he does take, looks like Trubbish and Versus Seeker off of the Teammates there.
There's the double and Choice Band that we were talking about, so that you can do an energy drive. It's a good start. It certainly gets hurt a lot by something like an Acerola, but it's not a terrible option at this stage for Sam. It's just he's definitely in a worse spot than Naoto is right now.
Indeed. Now, if Naoto could find the Field Blower and Choice Band, discard his own Float Stone so that he can attach a Choice Band and Crossing Cut GX for the knockout, he'll be in a great position. Even if he doesn't, I think he's still in a pretty good spot. He's got plenty of attackers powered up, and if he can find just Ace Arola this turn, he can kind of heal that Galisopod GX and go from there. He does know that Sam has an Ace Arola in hand, so might not be worth going for a 2-hit knockout. And knowing this, actually targets down that Garbodor, and it's going to first impression for the knockout.
So that's one way to do it. Only takes one prize card, but does limit Sam from sort of his end game closer. And so here we go. Sam will be able to throw Pokemon up and close out with a knockout. Got a Float Stone on Drampa. He has a couple of different Pokemon he could attack with now, Energy Drive being the obvious choice.
Yeah, I think Sam wants to play N here, put Naoto down to 4 cards in hand, and just get the knockout. Naoto would be threatening, another Galisopod GX, Double Colorless Energy Choice Band, and Crossing Cut GX to knock out Tapu Lele GX, but I think Sam just kind of has to go for this play here. Those energy attachments on Drampa GX, almost wasted attachments. He's not even using the big colorless Pokemon GX. No damage counters on his benched Pokemon, so Berserk, not even a great option, but perhaps in the future we'll see Drampa GX come in for some big attacks.
Yeah, it could very possibly close the game. All he needs is a couple of doubles to throw that way. I saw an interesting choice. He could have played Ultra Ball in his hand to maybe grab back one of the Garbodors he just shuffled back into his deck, but saying, you know what, I've only played one item card. Maybe I can just shy away from it as much as possible.
Indeed, if that Wimpod on the bench never evolves, then he could be in a good spot. Sam only drew 4 cards
Sam,
off the end.
You haven't taken any prizes yet. You can have 2 more. Yeah, he needs to draw 2 more.
Yeah, hopefully somebody notices he's only drawn 4 cards off of the N. He needs to draw 2 more cards.
Well, and I don't know if there's a conversation going on right now with the judges. Hopefully Sam knows, yeah, he's attaching. I've never seen players make an N in this way. Usually they do it in the other way, where they draw too many cards on accident. Sam shorting himself. Really hoping that this resolves as soon as possible.
Me too. Yeah, we usually see people drawing too many cards from N. Now somehow Sam drawing too few cards from N. Maybe thinking, I'm about to go to 4 prizes. I'm only going to draw 4 from N, as he does take the knockout here. But hopefully we get some communication to the judges and get this sorted out. Sam should have 2 extra cards in hand after the N should have 6 cards.
Yeah, we'll see. Interesting. We're giving the word that it was fixed already, but I just don't believe that it was.
No, he played the Rainbow Energy and then got 2 prize cards, so he's got 5 in hand.
Right.
Should have 7.
Yeah, when he played the Rainbow, he only had 3 cards remaining.
Yeah,
I believe. When he played the N, I think Sam's going to figure this out. It's not taking prize cards. Unless our overlay is wrong and we missed something in the middle of the game, I think that was his first knockout, right?
And did you take 6 cards?
Sam, he's just going to go, oh, wait. I should have more cards than I actually had.
He's like, wait, really? I didn't draw enough
I didn't
cards?
take enough? Look at Sam. Oh, my gosh.
Yes, hold on.
I don't even think it, all he can do is just, he draws the 2 cards, and I feel like that reverses the state. I don't know how the penalties work on this, but I don't think anything has happened that would shuffle or alter the situation. It's just, this is a rare situation.
Yeah, I've never seen this before. I've never seen a player short themselves on cards. I mean, you certainly don't gain an advantage by doing that. Oh, let me give myself fewer options. It's not like he's in danger of decking out or anything.
Yeah, it looks like Sam's trying to explain what's going on. I don't think Naoto has played a single card yet, so perhaps...
Yeah, he's got a Float Stone, hanging in limbo. He's still got it.
Maybe... Yeah. What a strange situation. This is just... Only at Worlds do you find, the weirdest, most common misplays. Your 3-time world champion playing 2 energy, or not drawing enough cards off of your end. And hopefully this will come to a resolution soon, because this is getting so exciting.
Yeah, and Sam just looks embarrassed, like, how could I do that? Among all the things, so many complicated plays running through his head, and he doesn't do something as simple as drawing 6 cards from his N when he has 6 prizes.
Yeah, it's like, that's the reason you play N when you're behind, is because it refreshes your hand. But I can understand exactly where his brain was. You know, he was about to go to 4 prizes. He had an opponent with 4 prizes. The number 4 can just get etched in your head late in the game. And there's always this an extra step, and we have to explain this ruling sort of over a language barrier. It's, you know, at the end of the day, it's just something to laugh at. And ready? 1. And did he draw both, or did he just draw the one of the 2?
Drew 2.
Yeah, okay. He drew 2 cards. Okay. There we go.
Crisis averted.
And now just like, okay, I can finally touch this floatstone. Weird spot for a floatstone, actually.
Yeah, I guess you just don't want to discard it and get it in the discard pile for Trashalanche, but you want to have the option open to have Choice Band on your other Pokemon.
That makes sense to me. While it does look weird, free retreat on a free retreater, that's the only thing you really can do there.
So now Naoto could find the Choice Band and Double Colorless Energy. He does have Gliscopod GX on the bench. If he finds both, he can use that Crossing Cut GX for the knockout and go down to 2 prize cards. If not, he'll have to settle for just doing 120 damage, and it looks like he will not get the knockout this turn. Just settling for the first impression, and now this can create this awkward spot where neither player is getting one-hit knockouts. You know, if Sam has Acerola, he can pick up that Tapu Lele GX and reset it and maybe attack with Drampa GX this turn.
Yeah, Acerola would be huge for him.
Or even a Guzma, just kind of go around this Gliscopod GX.
Yeah, Sam could start working in that way. I believe he has Double Colorless in hand, so he could Guzma and take 2 prize cards on the Tapu Lele on the bench if he wanted to.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things going on here. Still anybody's game. The clock is running down. I wonder if we'll get a time extension or anything like that, or we could end up in kind of a sudden death scenario where you know, the player who has taken the most prize cards after time has been called will win the match.
And it looks like, have we announced the winner of the Sho Suzuki versus Reiji? It looks like Sho was the victor there.
Yeah, Sho Suzuki defeats Reiji, and he will move on to the top 4. So we have 3 of our top 4 players set. We have Diego, Xander, Sho, and will it be Sam or Naoto? And for you folks watching, there will be a 4-minute time extension. So the timer you see on your screen is incorrect. Oh, now it's correct.
Back to 4, yeah.
And we have 4 additional minutes to play.
Okay, so it looks like, Sam eyeing up Plumeria.
Will it finally happen?
Yeah, now might be a great time. I'm sure Frankie's been watching this match, waiting the whole time to see his baby come back.
It looks like he's already played Acerola for the turn, so he won't be able to play Plumeria, but at least he can take it out of his deck.
Oh, I missed that amongst the top 8 announcement. That was the big supporter. I feel like Sam would have wanted this turn. Erasing that damage while still having a damage counter on the bench. Just being able to like slowly piecemeal things out here. Do a small hit and finish up, or just hit for the big damage here.
Yeah, it looks like he's going for that Berserk. He's got the Rainbow Energy on the bench, Tapu Lele GX, so the damage counter's there. Berserk gonna hit for 180 damage. Not quite a knockout, but enough to threaten that Gliscopod GX and put Naoto in a spot where, you know, even if he gets the Double Colorless, the Choice Band knockout, he'll have a big target on his bench to give up 2 prize cards. But there is another Acerola, both sides using this new supporter card to great effect, basically erasing attacks from their opponent. 180 damage removed from play with that one supporter card.
We're seeing sort of a battle of the aces, both players just activating Acerola. Oh, and that's a big discard for Sam, losing 2 of his Choice Bands. Those give him very crucial math, and also add a few more items into his discard pile as well. So here we go, first impression once again. Sam has Versus Seeker in hand, so he may be eyeing up another Acerola, but this one is not as cute as the last one. Having to pick up all that energy is sort of weird.
Yeah, he does have Drampa GX ready to go, though. He could just drop down the double colorless. He returns to his hand. Berserk for 150, set up for a 2-hit knockout. That's still a fine play. Might just be who runs out of those Acerola first.
Yeah, I have no idea what the Versus Seeker count looks like on each side. Man, this is sort of become a war of attrition. Who can survive these huge hits? You think on paper, eventually Naoto has the opportunity to get 1-hit knockouts while Sam does not, if Sam continues to attack into the Golisopod. But if one of these players runs out of Acerola, that trick ends very quickly.
So Versus Seeker coming down for Sam. You got to think this is for that Acerola, and it is. And now sends up his Drampa GX. This one has a float stone, so no choice band, but he will be able to Berserk for 150, set up for a 2-hit knockout. And both of these players trading blows back and forth, but neither able to get knockouts. Who will be able to get the first knockout here?
Yeah, it's may even come down to time at this point. Versus Seeker coming out on Naoto's side.
Another Acerola. Are you kidding me?
It's just back and forth, picking up, dropping back down. No one can actually grab a knockout.
Wow, this has been one of the big supporter cards we've seen this weekend. Reminiscent of that AZ we've seen in the past couple of years. Now, potentially a better card. It only allows you to pick up damaged Pokemon, but you get to take all the cards with it. So you get to keep taking back that grass energy, and now Sam is going to be perhaps in some trouble.
He does have a Versus Seeker in hand, but this Acerola is going to be the weird one, where he's not able to attack with another Drampa immediately afterward.
Yeah, this might be the turn to play that Plumeria, discard the energy off the active Pokemon, and then use Berserk.
Yeah, he certainly has the pieces to discard at this point if he wants to. It's a tough spot, and we are down to the wire. Double colorless energy coming out on the top of Lele on the bench.
Still anybody's game, but it looks like time has run out. If our timer is correct, looks like actually no, we're still a little off, but now time has been called. Sam is turn 0. That means both of these players will have 2 turns at the end of this match, and after the extra 3 turns, whoever has fewer prize cards remaining will move on to the top 4 at the World Championships. This is basically sudden death, folks. It does not get closer than this.
Sam coming down to an N, putting both players down to 4 cards. Got a decent set off of that. He has energy to work with. He has Versus Seeker. And I guess just opting to push up to the active, hoping his opponent doesn't have any kind of Guzma tricks.
Yeah, this is all going to come down to what Naoto draws. If he finds Guzma, he can knock out that Drampa GX, go down to 2 prize cards.
He's got Versus Seeker to do it, too.
Yeah, he can even Trashalanche for the knockout, putting just the 1 prize Pokemon in danger. And here we go. Oh, actually going for the Acerola.
Weird choice. I wonder, if you're going for time, you would like to get ahead eventually, you know? Here we go, retreating up, another first impression. So sort of this weird thing where prizes not taken on either side. Sam could actually just Guzma around here and grab the knockout on Drampa and maybe come out ahead in the time game.
It's going to be tough for Sam. He doesn't have any real easy knockouts here. He could Ultra Ball for a Garbodor. Versus Seeker for his Guzma.
He doesn't have the choice band on his Drampa, I just realized. That's a big deal.
That's the big problem here. There are 8 item cards in Naoto's discard pile, so going after Tapu Lele GX is not an option for the Trashalanche. 10 damage short. If Sam could have a Field Blower or a Choice Band, he would be able to Trashalanche for the 2 prize knockout, perhaps giving himself this match, but just 10 damage separating him from perhaps moving on to the top 4.
I wonder, could you dig deep with something like a Sycamore and just try and find the Field Blower and try and Trashalanche?
That might actually be the best option here. If you get a Field Blower, you'd need that and a Choice Band to knock out this Golisopod GX. There are 8 items right now. That's 160 damage. You need to get up to 210. And we'll see how many choice bands are left. Looks like exactly 1 in Sam's deck, but 2 field blowers. He could also draw 2 field blowers.
Blower. Wow. You see him sort of eyeing them up like, well, that may be my only out here.
Certainly could be.
Garboder down.
I think Sam understands he kind of needs to take 2 prizes here. If he only takes 1, then Naoto simply plays Guzma, takes 2 prize cards, and it's game over. Sam's going to test his fate here. Probably attach this Rainbow Energy to the Garboder. Go for the Professor Sycamore, and if he draws double Field Blower, he'll put himself in an excellent position to take this match.
Here we go, Sycamore for 7. Do we see Field Blower? Do we see Choice Band? So far, I don't see any of those options.
Oh,
Just
1 Field Blower. Going to be 10 damage short. Oh, my goodness.
That is heartbreaking. Well, it isn't necessarily over. It's looking really bad.
Yeah, now Sam still has some options here. He could just retreat to his Garboder and use Trash Lanch for what would end up being 200 damage, or he could simply send up Drampa GX and pass. Actually, the play I like most here might be Tapu Cure GX, but he's actually already used his GX attack, so he can't even do that. Just trying to think, what is the only way, or what's the best way for him to not lose? If Naoto has Guzma, it's over.
He already is holding the Versus Seeker in hand. I think we're seeing the end. Sam just 1 card away. If he gets 2 Field Blowers instead of 1, or a Field Blower and a Choice Band, his dream continues.
But that's not going to be the case. Sam Chen 1 card short. And now it's just up to Naoto. Does he have Guzma? He draws it for the
Guzma
turn.
In hand. He's got Versus Seeker.
Your
and
boy
that should close it
Guzma
up.
sends Naoto to the top 4 of the World Championships, taking down Sam Chen